All right, welcome. Hi, Cassandra here with Opera for All Folks, and on this channel I break down operatic stories into easy to understand terms, and I share my journey as I build my career as an opera singer. Let's jump in. Okay, in today's video, I'll be talking shop about the singing voice and answering a question that came in from @Michelle2392. After watching my Styles of Opera video, I'm so excited to answer my first question. Michelle2392 asks, I have a question I've been trying to find an answer to for about 2 years now. I know almost nothing about opera styles, but don't laugh. What is the style of when Madame Frou Frou is singing in the movie Boxtrolls? I also heard the style in Elizabeth, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry Elizabeth if I butcher your name, Elizabeth Zharoff version of The Little Mermaid's Poor Unfortunate Souls. I love that song. And she says it's like a French almost dialect, like the words and the breath are all in the mouth and being chewed on, if that makes sense. Please help, thanks so much. Thank you so much @Michelle2392. I'm so glad you asked a question and I'm looking forward to jumping in. But before I do, if you have a question, any question at all about opera or things you've heard, please ask right away and leave a comment below. Okay, let's jump in. Madame Frou Frou and Boxtrolls. Boxtrolls is a 2014 stop-motion animated fantasy comedy film that tells the story of Eggs Trubshaw, a human boy raised by trash-collecting trolls known as Boxtrolls, as he attempts to save them from Archibald Penelope Snatcher, a ruthless pest exterminator who cross-dresses as Madame Frou Frou.
10 years ago, a plot was hatched where evil was with cunning matched. Whoever left their doors unlatched would find their infant children snatched by Boxtrolls. Ooh, no! Boxtrolls! Trubshaw Senior loved his kid, the same as regular fathers did. If you don't want to share his plight, make sure that you are locked up tight from Boxtrolls. For this night, babies, Dad Trubshaw quite forgot to lock the door. And as soon as he began to snore, the Boxtrolls came in to withdraw. Boxtrolls, lock your windows, bolt your doors. Boxtrolls with their creepy claws will take your children in their paws and drag them down to feed their jaws. Boxtrolls. Mr. Trubshaw went quite wild when he found out he'd lost his child. He did what any dad would do. He ran off swiftly to pursue those Boxtrolls. Help, help, help me, please, won't you? But the Boxtrolls did what Boxtrolls do. They snatched him up and began to chew until there was no residue of Trubshaw. They pulled him down into their nest, hardly pausing to digest. They left his bones, but ate the rest. Never re-dinner guest of Boxtrolls.
But she's lying.
Those Boxtrolls. That's the story of a Trubshaw kid, wrong to do what Father Trubshaw did. You see Boxtrolls, don't play kids and catch them and exterminate them.
In the movie, Sir Ben Kingsley is the voice of Archibald / Madame Frou Frou, but the singing voice is done by singing actor Sean Patrick Doyle. Sean Patrick Doyle is a Broadway actor and a singer, but his singing voice would be categorized in the classical world as a countertenor or contratenor. It's a type of classical male singing voice whose range is equivalent to that of a female contralto, think Aretha Franklin, or a mezzo-soprano, think Janai Bridges or Grace Bumbry. Some countertenors can match the soprano's range. Countertenors often have a tenor or baritone chest voice, but sing in the falsetto or head voice much more often than chest. Now, for all voice types, they are split into 3 categories: head, mix, and chest. The mix is also sometimes called the passaggio, or the passageway, because it's the passage between the head and the chest, or going the other direction. Falsetto is Italian for false voice. Sound is produced by the vibration of the fibrous tissues that connects bones to bones. Normal voice production involves vibration of the entire vocal cord. So the glottis opens and then they kiss at the bottom and roll to the top. And that motion happens at 440 beats per second, and the higher you go, it goes up to 880 beats per second, and so on and so forth as you go up an octave, right? But the falsetto voice production focuses only on the ligamentous edges of the vocal cords while leaving the cords or the folds relaxed. And so that would be, if this is the cord and this is the ligament, the cords stay relaxed and only this part vibrates. Right? Instead of the whole thing vibrating, it's only this part and the cords are relaxed. So is this a style? Yes and no. Yes, it is an effect that I believe both men and women can achieve. Scientifically, scientists will say yes, any male and female voices can do this. If you ask a voice teacher, they'll usually say only men can do it and not women. You make a choice. But if it's muscle and you're only vibrating a certain part, then if women have that muscle, they can vibrate it too, right? There are countertenors who have full careers singing, but they are few. There are few of them because it's a very unique sound, and there were operas written for countertenors, specifically like Julio Cesare. We'll get into that later, that's written by Handel, but we would call them, quote, pants roles that were originally written for countertenors. And now that that is not the popular sound, we replace those same roles with women or mezzo-sopranos, and we call them pants roles. So that's yes, but no, because it requires training. And not all wish to have that sort of hooty and breathy sound, while others love it and they cultivate it. In fact, in my undergraduate degree at Westminster Choir College, I recall that there was one singer who would practice in his falsetto. He would practice singing my soprano arias. Let's go on to the second part of Michelle's question. Who is Elizabeth Zharoff? Elizabeth is a professional opera singer turned YouTuber, and then she's also a vocal coach, and she's got a fantastic YouTube following. I wish my YouTube channel took off like that, but to each their own. But in her rendition of Poor Unfortunate Souls,
I admit that in the past I've been a nasty. They weren't kidding when they called me, well, a witch. But you'll find that nowadays I've mended all my ways, repentance in the light and made the switch true, yes. And I fortunately know a little magic. It's a talent that I always have possessed. And dear lady, please don't laugh, I use it on behalf of the miserable, lonely and depressed. Pathetic. Poor unfortunate souls in pain, in need. This one longing to be thinner, this one wants to get the girl, and do I help them? Yes, I do. Those poor unfortunate souls, so sad, so true. They come flocking to my cauldron, crying spells, Ursula, please, and do I help them? Yes, I do.
I I love this song so much. I love singing Poor Unfortunate Souls for karaoke. It is like my go-to song, but I would call this a chest voice mix, or not even a chest voice mix, because she is clearly a high coloratura soprano to me, which I was like, yeah, girl, the girl can sing, you know, it's amazing. But she clearly is in the lower part of her voice, in the chest voice register of her voice, and she moves up and down in a mix. And I describe that here, that there's head voice, chest voice, and then there is the mix in between. Which is the bridge or the passageway, the passaggio between the two voices, and we want the voice to sound like one complete voice, not three separate voices. We want that sound because opera singers spend their time training to be heard and understood. There's nothing amplifying their sound. So her chewing on the words, I would define that as good diction, taking extra care to vibrate and resonate the consonants of the words. And in the classical world, singers focus on voiced and unvoiced consonants, known as fricatives, in which air passes through a narrow constriction that causes air to flow turbulently, thus creates a noisy sound, such as s, v, z. And plosives would be the second, in which airflow from the lungs is interrupted by a complete closure being made with the mouth. P, k, b, d, g. And we do this because opera singers are looking to be understood over an orchestra, and also just to be understood in terms of projection. We don't have a microphone that takes that up for us, or takes that requirement away. And so we spend extra time making sure we are supporting these consonants with air behind them. And it helps us to be understood, which is the whole point. People who are in the pop world or who use and rely on microphones, they are allowed to get away with not working these muscles and keeping them fresh and flexible and available, because the microphone does everything for you. It just catches everything when you stick it in, right up to your mouth. That means that there's an extra intention and focus and musculature motion that is no longer this not even being practiced and becomes weak and kind of flaccid. And so with Elizabeth, she is really giving you all of that texture with not just vowel sounds where you hear the voice ringing and spinning like ah, but va. We want to also hear that v sound, right? When you say French, it makes me think, maybe because the French do have a tendency, their language has a tendency to just live right in the mouth, or sort of like a washing machine is it's all circulating right here. And so if you think je suis en cœur tout étourdi, je suis en cœur, it's all right here, right? And there's breath supporting it, of course, but there's Americans speak a lot wider, and French bring it in, and probably that's what makes them great kissers, because these muscles are more articulate and being strengthened and used more often, where Americans have a tendency, and other cultures, just depending on where you are, has a tendency to do something different, right? Okay, so I hope this answers your questions, and I thank you again so much for asking this question. It was a great one. Okay, that's my share for today. Thank you so much for watching, and special thank you to @Michelle2392. I really appreciated this question. Thank you so much. So if you like this video, please like this video and subscribe, and stay up to date of when I'm dropping videos and when I'm performing next, and little updates about opera stories and what comes next. And also, if you have a question about opera, leave a comment below, whatever you've ever thought. I would love to hear what the layman thinks about, or questions that they have about opera. Anyway, Thank you for watching. This is Opera for All Folks, and it is a blessing and a pleasure to share a little piece of my heart with you. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in my next video. Ciao.